Okay, so we're going to continue our unit on factoring. And we're going to factor polynomials that look like this. And you'll notice this time there's going to be a number in front of that x squared term. So how does this work then? All right, so that's our learning target. Before we get into the ones with the number in front of the x squared, let's just refresh our memory. How do we factor these kinds of polynomials? So pause here, try it, see how you do. Okay, so if you remember, we know it's going to be two binomials. And in order to get the x squared term here, we need an x here and an x here. So we've got that. And remember, what you're trying to do is say two numbers that multiply to be 36, but add up to be 13. So multiply to be this term, but add up to be this term. So multiply to be c, but add up to be b. So you can write out all your terms, but hopefully you get a little bit better at this. Writing out some like 3 and 12, 6 and 6, 4 and 9, and keep going until you run across it. If you add these together, you get 15, you get 12, you get 13. If you didn't hit it, then you could write some other ones like 1 and 36, 2 and 18. But I run across 4 and 9. They add up to 13, so I'm going to write that. And my answer would be x plus 4 times x plus 9. And that's how we factored those. And hopefully you're getting a little bit better at these and you can start to maybe do these in your head. Okay. Now, factoring. Again, remember, factoring is using the distributive property backwards. So really, in this particular case, let's say I gave you this. You should be able to go back to this, right? So that's what we just did. Notice this has a leading coefficient of 1. There's really a 1 in front. Now today what we're going to do is we're going to start with something that has a number in front of the x term, like this one has an 8. Now you'll notice when we go back to here, it's going to look a little different. Notice there's numbers in front of the x terms now, and so this makes it a little bit more challenging. So how do we do this? Well, I've been teaching this for a number of years, and one of the ways our algebra textbooks show us how to make a chart. It gets really complicated. I used to teach it this way. I won't go into this. We are not going to use this method because it is just super complicated and it's tricky, okay? So we are not going to do that. We're going to try a new method. It is weird, okay? It's kind of a ninja trick, but it's way better. Initially, it's going to seem like a lot, okay? But you'll find that this actually goes pretty quickly. Okay, so here, how does this work? We're going to do one first, and then I'll go through the steps. So what you do is you're going to start out by writing the x squared term, but without the 2 in this case, or the number that's in front. So I'm going to write this just like this, and then plus 17x, and I'm going to put a blank right there. Okay, so no 2, and I've still got the 17, but I'm not going to write 21 either. So what I'm going to now do is in that blank, we're going to put our a times our c value. So a is this, and this is our c, right? So in other words, 2 times 21 is going to go in the blank. 2 times 21 is positive 42, so we're going to write that there. Okay. Now, we are going to then factor this polynomial that we have right here, okay? Now notice it's a leading coefficient of 1, so we're going to factor it the same way we did before. Okay, put an x here and an x here. All right, now we're going to say two numbers that multiply to be 42, but add up to be 17. So you might say, well, let's see, 7 and 6 is 42. Nope, that gives me 13 if I add them. What else would give me there? 14 and 3. Okay, so it looks like 14 and 3. So we're going to go, because if I add those together, I get 17. Now, if you didn't see that one right away, you would eventually run across it. Just use your calculator or your multiplication chart. And there we've got it. All right, now, if we multiplied this, we would get this back, okay? So this is not our answer because really we want it to be this, right? So we're not quite there yet. So what else do you have to do? And this is where it gets a little weird. You're going to take your leading coefficient here, okay? Your leading coefficient is 2. This is now going to go underneath both of these right here, okay? And then you are going to reduce these fractions. And I'm going to put a little exclamation point because you got to remember to do this part. All right. So now I have x plus, and if you're not great at reducing, use your calculator, right? 14 divided by 2. Okay, you can press the math, hit enter a couple of times. Now you knew that was 7 probably, but if you're not sure, you get 7, right? The other one was 3 over 2. So if I go 3 divided by 2, press math, change it to a fraction, press enter a couple times. Notice it says 3/2. It's already reduced. So I just want to reduce these. So 14 over 2 is 7. And then 3/2 reduces to, it stays 3/2. Okay, now you're almost done. The last step is if you have any denominators. Remember, denominators are the bottom numbers of fractions. So I have a denominator left here. If you have any denominators left, you move them in front of the x. So this first one's going to stay the same. It's x plus 7. And then this will become 2x plus 3. Okay? And this is my answer. If you were to multiply this out, if you were to multiply this out, you would get this back. And that's what we want. So this is the factored form of 2x squared plus 17x plus 21. Now notice, that's what they got right here. They got x plus 7 times 2x plus 3. That's the same thing we got, x plus 7 times 2x plus 3. Exact same, right? So this way is way better. It's a lot faster. It's also more accurate. All right. So what are the steps? We just kind of talked about it, but here they are. Step 1 is you're going to write x squared plus bx, and they're going to put a blank. And you're going to write this with no a value. So this, you're not going to write right away. Okay? Then you are going to, after that, you're going to write, you're going to take the a value and the c value, and you're going to multiply them. And then you're going to write it in the blank. So actually, this would be in the blank right here. Okay? Then you're going to factor that polynomial. It should look like this. X plus a number times x plus a number. All right? You'll divide both those numbers once it's factored by your leading coefficient a. So again, a is this thing right here. You will reduce, and then if there are any denominators, move them in front of the x. So it's kind of a weird process, but it is pretty successful. So we're going to practice it a few times. It takes a little getting used to. You'll get better at these. Okay, so here are the steps on the right. So we're going to write x squared plus bx with a blank then. So I'm going to write the 6x squared without the 6 in front of it. So it's just going to be x squared plus 19x and then blank. Okay, now step 2 says multiply a times c and write them in the blank. Okay, so in the blank, what's going to go here? A times c is 6 times 10. So this is a and this is c, right? So this is going to be 60. It's positive, so I'm going to put plus 60. If it were negative, you'd write minus. Now I'm going to factor this in the regular way, right? So what are two numbers that multiply to be 60 but add up to be 19? Well, you can make a table if you want, but you will eventually get there. It'd be 4 and 15. 4 times 15 is 60. 4 plus 15 is 19. Okay, now I need this. I'm not done, right? I need to keep going. So now I'm going to take my leading coefficient. It is going to go underneath both of these right here, okay? So that is, you can see, step 4, divide both numbers by a. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go divided by 6, divided by 6. Okay, and now I'm gonna reduce. So don't forget this step. Actually, I should maybe even write that. Reduce. I like to just, that's step 5, right? I wanna make sure that you do this. So I'm going to reduce 4/6, and then the other one is 15/6. So I'm gonna use my calculator. So 4 divided by 6, press the math button, enter a couple of times, I get 2/3, okay? And then let's write that in there. So this would be plus 2/3. The other one is 15/6. So I'm gonna reduce that. 15 divided by 6, math, I get 5/2. All right? Okay, now, I've reduced. Step 6 says if there are any remaining denominators, move them in front of the x. Remember, denominators are bottom numbers of a fraction. So I'm going to move this 3 in front of the x and this 2 in front of the x. So this becomes 3x plus 2 times 2x plus 5. This is my answer. If I were to multiply it out, I'd get this back. Okay? So that's my answer, and that's how you do these. Take your time. You'll get pretty good at them. We're going to do a couple more to just make sure you understand the process. And I'll go a little bit faster with these. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go step 1, x squared without the 9 minus 15x. Write the blank. What goes in the blank? 9 times positive 4, which would be 36. All right. What are two numbers that multiply to be 36 but add up to be negative 15? Well, it's positive 36, and I need a negative 15, so that tells me that both numbers have to be negative. So let's see, that would be negative 3 and negative 12. Okay. Now, let's see. I want to take my 9, and I'm going to write it underneath. So again, this number is going to go underneath both of these. Okay, and then we're going to reduce the fractions. Okay. So, all right. I've got negative 3/9, so I'm just going to go 3/9. 3 divided by 9, math, I get 1/3. Okay, so this would be x minus 1/3. And then this one would be 12 divided by 9. Reduce that. You can use your calculator. Again, if you need to, you'll get 4/3. Okay, now again, if there are any remaining denominators, move in front of the x. Okay, so this is going to end up being 3x minus 1 times 3x minus 4. And there we go. That's how you factor ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, let's try one more, and then hopefully you're good. All right, so again, write x squared plus bx plus blank. And let's do it. This would be x squared minus 15x blank. What goes in the blank? 4 times negative 4. What? Notice that's a negative this time. So here I'm going to write negative 16. Okay, I'm going to factor this. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 16 but add up to be negative 15. So that would be Negative 16 times positive 1. Okay, and now this 4, right, is going to go here and here. We're going to reduce. So this would be x minus 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And this, reduce 1/4, we still get 1/4. Okay, don't forget that reduce part. That's important. That's step 5. All right, now I do have a remaining denominator. In this case, this one is good, but over here I've got a 4. I'm going to move that in front. And this is my answer. All right, so again, if you follow these steps, you should be good. That's how you factor ax² plus bx plus c. And this is your assignment. Write it into the student plan book, and once you check it out, or once you turn it in, please check it off. Good luck.